I'm Shirley Bloomfield, CEO of the National Telecommunications Cooperative Association, based in Arlington, Virginia. NTCA is a national trade association representing rural telecommunication companies all across the United States. Our organization was formed back in the 1950s by a group of very dedicated general managers of rural telephone companies to ensure that rural telecom had a voice in policy decisions at the federal level. We advocate on behalf of rural telecom on Capitol Hill and at the Federal Communications Commission in Washington, D.C. In addition to our advocacy work, we also focus on the role that telecommunications plays in economic development in rural communities across the country. We recognize that your community needs to continue to be vibrant. You're going to need to have access to the global marketplace for healthcare, for education, commerce, and all of the different opportunities that go with it. You may remember back in the day when your cooperative was simply a telephone company. In those days, companies provided voice service. As technology has evolved, so has West Central. Today, it's a full-service telecommunications provider. They deliver so much more than voice. Now they provide wireless, internet, video, business solutions, home networking, and so much more. You are so fortunate to have a terrific team here at West Central Telephone Association that has changed with the times to bring you all of the telecommunication services that you need. West Central is also a very distinguished member of our trade association and actively participates in advocacy efforts and stays informed on policy changes that impact the way that they do business. We help them navigate the regulatory changes and challenges that directly affect their work and your service. West Central benefits from the collective voice of rural telecommunications companies all across the country when we work on a policy issue here in Washington, D.C. Also, we help develop business partnerships and identify trends that enable rural telecom companies to anticipate the changes they are going to need to be able to continue to improve their offerings to you, their customers. Recently, there's been a major regulatory change for rural telecommunication providers. Your General Manager, Tony Mayer, has asked me to participate with you today through video to communicate about these changes and what they're going to mean to you as a consumer. There is a federal fund called the Universal Service Fund, which is a program that is overseen by the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC. Telecommunication providers all across the country contribute to this fund, and they receive support back from it based on a very specific set of regulations that were established by the FCC. Since its inception, this fund has been essential to ensuring that rural consumers, like all of you, who live in difficult-to-serve areas, have access to high-quality communication networks and affordable services. But new federal regulations and other policy changes that are under consideration right now put rural networks and services at risk. Like electricity and telephone service, reliable high-speed broadband has really become an essential part of daily life for businesses and for consumers, for students, for healthcare providers. So access to broadband is critical for commerce and civic participation all across the different reaches of rural America. True universal service, according to the letter of the law, means providing telecommunications service that is comparable, affordable, and accessible to all Americans. The new FCC rules, however, do not promote these objectives. The new FCC regulations that we are taking a look at right now will reduce support for many smaller, locally based cooperatives such as West Central. Under these new rules, West Central will face new limitations on its ability to recover investments that have been made years ago. New rules that could change every year, making it very difficult for companies to actually plan ahead. Federal requirements to increase consumer rates in order to qualify for full Universal Service Fund support. While some rural telecom providers and rural consumers may be able to adapt to these changes that are on the forefront, there's certainly more to come. The FCC is now considering additional rule changes that will further reduce the ability of rural carriers to recover their costs. These additional changes now being considered include the following. First of all, further reducing the opportunity for returns on investment in operations. Second, applying additional limitations on the ability to recover costs. And third, reducing Universal Service Fund support if a competitive serves even just a very small part of your serving area. The Universal Service Fund cuts from the additional proposed FCC rules will put existing investment in rural broadband at risk. They will discourage future investment in new broadband networks by rural companies such as yours. The FCC's cuts could lead to increased rates for many consumers for telephone, broadband, and other services. So while we continue to fight on many fronts to keep the necessary support for rural telecom providers, your cooperative has also been preparing for these changes, as well as preparing for declining revenue sources by diversifying their product offerings and really taking a look at what you and the community need and taking advantage of the opportunities to innovate. One of the examples of this innovation is Synergy, the renewable energy company that was started by West Central. This company is now in its third year of business. In the past year, Synergy installed 725 solar panels and earned nearly $1 million in revenue. Starting a renewable energy company is certainly innovative for a telephone cooperative, and I heartily applaud West Central's vision. Likewise, the engineering company formed by West Central and 18 other cooperatives is also a visionary effort. Cooperative Network Services, or CNS, was formed to cut costs on essential engineering services. The company has grown from 1 employee in 2010 to 24 employees in 2012. Tony was successful in bringing CNS to Managa, which helps the economy as well. Other revenue streams not associated with telephone service include fiber leasing, tower space leasing, network support services, surveillance systems, and home wiring services. With Energy Division, West Central is fortunate to have 2 master electricians on staff, which enables them to perform electrical wiring on new and existing construction as well. Despite these very successful ventures, the potential additional FCC rules that are now under consideration promise better service to some Americans at the expense of lesser service and at a higher cost for others. This could certainly negatively impact the viability of your cooperative. So what can you do? How can you help West Central to continue to provide you with the services that you need at affordable rates? Don't let the FCC keep your rural community on the side of slow broadband digital divide. Don't let the FCC adopt policies that will require the rural consumers to pay higher rates for telephone service and slower broadband. Ask your representatives to help make sure that the new rules are implemented in a manner that is fair for all rural consumers and consistent with true universal service. Ask your representatives to tell the FCC to stop pressing for new rules that will only make matters worse. It really was a treat for me to join you remotely today. I appreciate all that you and West Central Telephone Association do for your community in rural Minnesota. Thank you very much.